going on? RGIJ is back, baby. What a fucking week it's been.
Is it because you were needing a nurse?
We're not gonna talk about that. I'm a big cat. I don't need nurses. I don't need nurses to take care of it.
Not for that conversation we had. That was a moment of weakness.
It was. I don't need a nurse. I need to get into a relationship so that way I could have her to take care of me. And then when I'm better, I'm like, okay, see you later. Thanks for playing, kid. Thanks for playing. Smack it on the booty and see you on your way out.
So now the goal, that's what you're saying, your goal is
so when
for
I start
Izzy to find a
feeling
girl?
like I'm coming down, be like, Tinder. Find somebody on Tinder.
You should try it out.
Come take care of me.
You should try it out next time.
Come take care of
See
me.
what it does.
And then when I get better, I see you later.
Yeah, right. You're going to sit there and be like, I actually enjoy that stuff. I'm going to settle down now.
Man, I don't know how many times we say it or how many times we talk about it, but this fucking world is just gets crazy and crazy every time. Like I was talking to, I believe it was my niece or something like that. Dude, what's the deal with the baby formula being gone? Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Like,
it's the shortest
yeah,
week.
man. It was like first COVID, toiletries, fucking Purell, everything's gone. Water, gone. And now all of a sudden, fucking baby formula is crazy. Like, I was trying to help her out because I think a friend needed it or something. And I was like, Target, out of stock. Walgreens, out of stock. Walmart, out of stock. Like, all these big brand companies just fucking no baby formula at all, man. And it's sad because, there are, especially now that there's new parents that are having kids, you know what I'm saying, that the babies were born like during COVID and stuff like that. I mean, it's like, it's crazy. It really is crazy. But the reason why I say that, man, because I was looking through, I don't do the news. Just the news for me, I don't get up in the morning. I don't turn the TV on to the news or nothing. I just look through my phone and I just, scroll through to see what's popping up on fucking Yahoo or Google or whatever, whatever these people are posting on there. But I ran into one that I was like, why? Why is this news, right? So there is a man, I'm just going to read it off from what I gathered from it. But there is a man who identifies himself as a fictosexual. Have you ever heard of that term?
What is that?
Fictosexual?
No.
So a fictosexual is a person who is sexually attracted to fictional characters. So those anime, those characters in that mindset, those cosplay characters, whatever, in video games and everything else, there's people who can identify as being sexually attracted to them. Okay. This guy spent 2 million yen, or about $17,300, on a wedding to a fictional character. But his family didn't attend it. He wanted his family there, and his family said, we're not doing that. Okay? He's been married to this fictional character for 4 years. And he said that his relationship has hit a roadblock. He said he can no longer speak. The fictional character's name is Miku. He goes, he can no longer speak to Miku because of technological hurdles that they're going through. So being that they're 4 years of marriage, he thinks, they might end up getting divorced, that the marriage is on the rocks because of technological hurdles that they're going through. So I don't think she's communicating back with him. Or maybe they're just lacking in the sex department. I don't know what's going on. But it said that he married the hologram bride, and now he's having struggles to bond with her. Why? Why is that in the news? I don't understand that.
First of all, if you've ever lived in Japan, that is like
that possible?
That's why I'm not surprised. I'm like, man, Japan's a whole different world, man. Like, there's a lot of things that people don't know about Japan, and one of them, honestly, is they have a really big problem with pedophilia, man. It's a really big issue. Like over there, if your skin's like light or white is considered beautiful, right? And so, you know, I'm half white, so my daughters have white in them. They're very light skinned like me. When they went to the restroom, we had to make sure they were okay.
Wow.
There are stories of that. They go to the restroom and a man will follow them in there behind them right away. So the reason for that, the reason why they have that issue out there is if you've been in Japan, you'll go to the grocery store, you'll go to the gas station, you'll go to Family Mart, Lawson. These are like stores, right? And they have manga available, which are comic books and stuff like that. And a lot of times what happens is these people grew up watching manga, or, you know, I mean, they watching or reading the manga. And they were in high school. They were in junior high and high school, where those characters are junior high and high school. And they portray them voluptuous and, you know, these type of things. And they are now 40 years old, reaching the same thing again. That's the same thing. So the whole time they've been in love with this idea of characters, and they're now older. That's why they've been recognized as having some very horrible pedophilia issues. And it's not talked about in the news. So if you can, you know, my wife can read it and you see like that, they'll tell you it's in there. Some dark shit going on over there. There's this thing. Have you heard of like JK kids? So if you like, I think Vice did a thing on them, like JK kids. It's fucking dark. But in Tokyo, I believe, there's like an alleyway and they call it JK, junior high kids. And grown men will go there and watch junior high kids. Do whatever. They'll pay money to go talk to them. The girls will be folding or like doing origami, folding things, and they'll have their legs open. You can see, like, you know, you can see underneath their skirt, and guys are just sitting there watching them. And it's just, it's
but
like,
they take them to like a room or something, or is it like a prostitution?
No, they're just like out there to talk to them. No, they're just watching them. They're just watching them. But it's like, again, like it's that little, you know, if you go down this corner and go to that corner, next thing you know, you're in this alleyway, and that's how things are in Japan. Soapland, you know, red lights, you know, that's just that normal world out there where people turn a blind eye to it, but it's a couple, you know, down a couple alleyways and you're in a whole different world. So, I mean, yeah, man, it's weird, right? It's a fucking crazy story. But like I said, man, there's some, you know, in America, we're kind of blessed in a sense that we don't really have to. Now we got our fucking weirdos for sure. You know, but yeah, like that's in Japan, man, that was one of the things like eye-opening for me is like there's a lot of issues with that maybe most people may not know about because it's not talked about, and plus it's not good for their like society and stuff like that. But there is a underworld for sure where a lot of those things happen, and nobody bats an eye. You know what I mean? It's just,
dude. The sad part is that as funny as it is with this whole fictosexual man marrying a fictional character, like it's plausible. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could see it really happening here in the United States, that people, they probably done it. We just haven't heard about it. But especially in society where video gamers are so big, like they're big anime fans. And like you said, they've been watching them or been, you know, seeing them for so long, like early on in their life. And then as they get older, they start to presume that this is it. Like this becomes reality for them, you know?
Well, you know about furries, right?
What's furries?
You've never heard about this shit?
Furries?
Oh man, where are you? Yeah, check it out. Google it. Yep. There's fucking conventions too, man. This shit's big.
Wait, they get like dressed up as cosplay?
No, they dress up as animals and they fuck each other. Like that's their whole gig. Swear to God, man.
So they have like they have like a mega con of fucking furries, and they go out there like a big orgy. It's one big orgy.
I mean, there was one story I was reading about where it was they had a convention at a hotel, right? And so they put out like human litter boxes so the cats can go and fucking use the restrooms because they were portraying to be cats. People are fucking, man. When you got over 8 billion people, I mean, let's say 10% of those people are fucking weird. That's a lot of fucking people in general. That's fucking weird, man. I mean, you know what I mean? Like I said, like, it's just, you got so many different people out in this world. Like, people fall in love with robots. Like, now there's robots. Like, if there's any little I mean, there was that dude in, I think it was South Carolina, that said he was a fox and was trying to take his driver's license with, like, a fox hat. And they're like, take it off. He's like, no, I'm fox. Like, I'm a foxkin. Like, this is how I, like, identify myself. You know what I mean?
My mother and father raised me. I'm a fox, bro.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much shit going on nowadays where it's like, have you ever heard of The Onion? Have you ever heard of like Onion, right? You know about that, right? What about Babylon Bee?
I haven't heard of Babylon Bee.
Babylon Bee, dude, you got to hop on that shit. That shit's hilarious as fuck. It's like, it's satire, right? So it's a lot of like political stuff that's very satire. funny part is satire, but if you don't know what that is and you read an article, you'd be like, holy shit, are they serious this time? And it's like, no, it's satire, so it's not. But a couple years ago, what was satire now is kind of like, it's almost reality. There's another one, I think it's called Hard Drive. It's for like gamer news, but it's satire too as well. And so it was this article, and it was saying that Saudi Arabia, and this is not a true story, it's just, you know, part of the thing, but it said Saudi Arabia bought 3% of Nintendo or some shit like that. It bought a lot of stock. So because it bought a lot of stock, now Nintendo is banning all women that are in the Mario Kart 8 from driving. They can no longer drive in it, right? And so you're like, you know, you're like, holy shit, right? And you're reading it, but the sad part, I've never seen that website, so I was like, hold on, like that sounds a little fucking crazy. But the same time frame though, is that hard to believe, right? Like we don't fucking know, right? In the other parts of the world, that's
normalcy for a lot of people. They can't drive over there. I mean, how many people or relationships have you heard that crumbled because of video gaming? You know what I'm saying? Or because they're so much more in love with these animated figures than they are with the reality of their actual real living spouse, you know? And I mean, don't get me wrong, when I was a kid, you know, if you saw like She-Ra back in those days, or even kids now with Barbie, you know, they like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty, this and that. But to take it to the level where you're 20, 30s, 40s, 50s, and you're still believing the hype that these, you know, that they understand you. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, they, you know, I can love them. They can love me back, reciprocate and everything else. That's what baffles me, is like how you expect this fictional character to love you and have that human emotion when it's fictional. You know, it's not the real deal.
Right.
And you're going 4 years without what? Without no sex. Because how you doing it? Well, are you creating a character and then you're putting it to mingle with this fictional character to say that's you, that you're doing that? There was a movie that that this guy did, man. I think it was Joaquin Phoenix. It was called Her. It was the worst fucking movie ever. But it was 3 hours long, dude. And all it was is that he fell in love with it was like a Siri voice on his phone. And he basically fell in love with that voice on the phone because he could ask it questions. He could say, oh, hey, I'm sad. And then, you know, her response would be, you know, how can I make you better or whatever. And, you know, he could have conversations without her telling him, dude, you sound stupid. And through the whole movie, it's just him and a fucking cell phone for 3 hours. I wanted to fucking poke my eyes out, but it's called Her. If you want to like get back on somebody, be like, yeah, go watch the movie Her. It's a great movie, and let them sit there for 3 hours and fucking regret they ever fucking were living during that time. But it was the worst thing ever. But it's just crazy that they have these figures. I never heard of that, Fictosexual. So I was reading through it and I was like, man, this is fucking crazy. But it's nuts. Right. But like I said, you know, you've had relationships. I know at least of some couples that were like, yo, we're on the brink of divorce because, you know, the World of Warcraft. My husband won't stop playing this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just keeps going and going every night. Doesn't even want to look at me. Doesn't even want to kiss me. Doesn't want to even say anything. It's like he plays it so much is that he actually thinks he's fucking in the game. Like, he's actually doing something for it, you know? But it's just fucking nuts. But yeah, I was looking at that. Yeah, I saw another thing, and I wanted to get your opinion about it since you are a dad. I was seeing in Tennessee, they were passing this bill, or they passed the bill, where now they're enforced or requiring drunk drivers to pay child support if they killed the parent. So if you're a drunk driver and you vehicle manslaughter and killed or crashed into another car, and in that car the victims were parents and they had kids or whatnot, you are now responsible for continuing the kid's growth. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to have to continue to support the child and everything else with child support money. So that was a new law that they passed. What do you think about that, being that you're a dad of two?
Well, I mean, I got a life insurance policy, so I think that's something that if you can afford it, you know, they're not that expensive, honestly. If you can try to afford it, I would try to get that. You know, we're getting my wife's this year too, so you know what I mean? If you can afford those things, that's for fucking sure. Like, you know what I mean? That's the way, best way to go. So I'd say that ultimately number one is if you can afford it, get a home get a life insurance policy, because then you don't have to worry about it. But at the same time frame, like if that's what I mean, if that's what's going on right now, like, yeah, man, like that shit's real. Like, that shit's it's real stuff that's going on right now about over there. So I could imagine, what I mean, that they're doing.
I mean,
those
I think
things.
it would be because a lot of times, sometimes the drunk driving they'll just get a little penalty or whatnot, maybe sorts of time, but for them to just not have to just be like, oh well, I did it and then see you later, because now the kid's gonna be no parents, probably in the system, you know what I'm saying, child services and everything else. But it is some sort of penalization on the actual perpetrator that committed the act to still fucking pay his dues, because who the fuck told you to get behind the wheel to drink and drive? You have especially Uber, Lyfts, taxis, or just don't fucking get in the car at all. Have a DD, So I'm glad Tennessee did it, and I think there were even mentions that there are other states that are looking at following suit on that, so that way these fucking criminals, not only do they have to deal with just jail time, sentencing and whatnot, but they still got to fucking make payments to the child, even though it's not going to replace the parents, God forbid that was to happen. But at least the kids are still covered, especially depending how old these kids are. So it's just crazy.
Yeah, I think like I said, man, if you're gonna commit those kind of crimes, yeah, man, that's some dark shit right there. You know what I mean? Like there's some things, I don't know, man. Like in Japan, again, just living there for so long, they passed one of these things, man. It got a lot of people worried. It was fucking crazy what they had going on. And so what they did was, whatchamacallit, so they had this thing saying it was like if you were caught drunk driving, you got a DUI, you'd be fined $10,000. You would lose your license for a year or two.
Okay.
I think 2 years.
Good.
Gone. The bar or whoever was in the car with you got like a $5,000 fine, I believe, too. And then wherever you got that drinks from got another $10,000 fine. So if you went to a bar, that's their ass too. If you were at a friend's house, that's their ass too. So you could see yourself and everybody that's involved. Because I mean, that would happen a lot. Like I will be honest, man. There were a couple of times where we'd be sitting there, and the reason why I was driving was because I was the least drunk. Like that was a real shit. We would do those things. And when you're younger, you're like, all right, I'm the least drunk. Like fuck it. But the problem is, you're not really thinking about anything beyond I'm trying to get home. It's not malicious or any of those things. But I'll tell you this though, when that fucking thing hit and you were 0.03, by the way, 0.03 to get $10,000, lose your license for 2 years, you're kicked out of the military. Like after that shit started coming down, there was something like, all right, man, like before we go drinking, like, all right, what are we doing? All right, we're going to cap. Okay. We're not even like, you just had to start getting that way. Now there was a couple times, I think even that when that shit was out, I was probably still driving and drinking. But at the same time frame though, like, my life at that point was sabotage as fuck. So I was trying to do whatever. Like I didn't care. I wasn't going out there being malicious. That's why sometimes I didn't get kicked out or some of that stuff. I'm very grateful because I was doing some dumb shit for sure. But those are some of those things, man, where I think we got to look at like, why are people drinking and driving? And it sucks. I have a friend, man. He was a Marine and he wanted to stay in. He loved being in. He loved being a Marine. But he got a drunk driver hit him, fucked up his leg, and he couldn't serve no more. Like it's just one of those ones he just couldn't serve no more. And it wasn't like he had combat tours. He loved it, man. He was like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. That type of shit. Loved it, and it was taken away from him, and they wouldn't let him serve anymore. And shit like that happens too. It may not even be like you lost your life. No one like his family, like no one like that, but he lost his career in that sense. Yeah, man. Those are some things, man. When you're drinking and driving, I think we normalize it so much in our society that you should drink, you should have a good time and stuff like that, instead of kind of putting that thing of like, hey, man, if you drink and drive, we're going to fuck up everybody around you's life. Like, because of what this could do, right? Man. Yeah. I mean, but like I said, being young, you're not really thinking about, especially if you're young. If you're in your 20s, man, you're not really thinking about, you're not going out there saying, I'm going to get so drunk. And that's the sad part is people who go out there and who drink and then and kill somebody. That was never their intent.
Because if you think about it, one of their mentalities is that if I never got caught, then I could just keep doing it. And that's what a lot of drinkers is. The first time that they get behind the wheel and do it and nothing happens, they'd be like, oh, this is nothing to me. So next thing you know, it becomes like part of them to be like, oh yeah, I had a couple of drinks, but I'm good to drive because the last few times that I did it, I made it home okay. Nothing came up. Without even thinking of the chances of, God forbid, take a wrong turn, hit somebody, hit something, whatever the case would be, and then that's pretty much it for the rest of your life. Especially if you're in Tennessee, that you got to continue to pay child support, sentencing, you're pretty much done, incarcerated, and everything else. So it's crazy. I was reading also, they had this thing. And again, like I said, I don't do the news, man, but it's just all these little things that are around the world, and I'm just like, this shit fucking sucks, man. But now they're doing grandma scams. Have you heard of that?
So it depends, man. My mom might have been one of them.
So there's these hackers or these scam artists that are pretending to be your grandchild. And what they do is they'll rant off saying, hey, something emergency-wise happened. It's a matter of life and death. Grandma, grandpa, can you send me money? And what they'll do is they'll pass the phone to another scammer who pretends to be a doctor, a police cop, or something to say, hey, ma'am, sir, yes, we found your grandson here. He's crying. He don't know where he's at, and this and this and that. And, this happened, but just to sort of give them that assurance that, yeah, this is not a lie. And then the grandchild begins to say, hey, can you cash at me? Or can you Zelle me or whatever? And dude, they're spilling out like, they're not making outrageous requests. They're doing, normal stuff just to continuously get different people to bite. So they'll be out there, be like, pop, Nana, can you send me, $5,000 because I just crashed my car and this to fix it. And they always say, please don't tell mom and dad and everything else. So now they're getting these little old ladies, man, who don't know any better, thinking their grandchild needs their help. And they're fucking having to send them, grandma, grandpa got money stashed old school underneath the bed. So they're sending them fucking $5,000 hoping to help them. Meanwhile, they're fucking getting scammed. And I guess the VA that was happening to the VA too. They were VA disability scammers. So these scammers were calling veterans, pretending to be the VA disability, and saying something to the effect of, you need to pay this certain amount or whatever you owe, this and this and that. And it's just like getting off on these veterans to have them fork out money as well. I was like, this is fucking nuts, man. I don't know what this world is coming.
Well, fucking there was this so actually my mom almost got hit up for something similar to that. A scam-ish. It wasn't like someone called her. Because again, if someone called and was like, "Hey, we need money," like if someone's trying to impersonate me, she'd be like, "That ain't my child. Kid. My kid don't need none of my kid don't need none of my goddamn help," and that's part of the problem.
We need to have your mom come on the podcast, man, so we could talk to her and have her share her stories.
Dude, so we had there was a Zoom. My cousin had a wedding, and it was a Zoom, right? And so my mom's on Zoom because we're not there, right? And I could see my mom. And she's like right in front of it, all up close, like trying to, like just looking all over the place. It's like, Jesus. It's like such a mom, you know what I mean? Just like, Ma, like, hey, you're all over the place. Like, I can see your nostril hairs, man. Calm down. Like, this shit don't need to be in your face like that. Like, back up. But no, anyway, so like, so she's like, hey, she got a new computer, like a brand new laptop, wanted to do it all on her own for some reason. She's like, I used to do this a long time ago. I'm like, hey, that should change this. So she goes there and she calls me. She's like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but I can't do nothing. And it says that I have a virus. And I was like, what are you doing? She goes, I didn't do nothing. I swear I didn't do nothing. I was like, what did you do? She goes, I did nothing. I was like, okay, send me a screenshot. She sent it to me. I was like, okay, I cannot do nothing. I'm going to go look at it tomorrow. I went and looked at it that night, right? Because I got really concerned. Like, what are you doing to yourself? And how are you going to screw yourself over, right? So I don't want you to do that. So I went over there. And I was like, and I looked at it and it says, hey, you have a Trojan, it tries to make it official by Microsoft. So it makes it look like, hey, call this number and we'll fix it for you. It's almost like, hey, like Microsoft saw it. It almost appears to be like Microsoft saw a virus, pulled up a thing, say, give us a call and we'll help you take care of this. Right. That's what it looks like. Right. A hotline, right? So you're like, oh shit. I was like, hell no. So I restarted the computer. Like, can we start that problem? And I go, what were you doing? I was like, I didn't do nothing. I was like, okay, whatever. I go, so I open up, her internet, and I'm like, or I look up her Edge, her web browser. and it pops up with that virus. I was like, oh, okay, I know what's going on. You clicked on a link, and this is their way of trying to catch you, right? So I was like, what are you doing? She's like, I wasn't doing nothing, I swear. I was like, okay, history. I went to her history. I was like, Mom, what were you reading? I was like, why were you reading the 4 scams of like internet? And then, so there was a story that said like, you know, scams of it, like things to not do for scams on the internet, right? Well, one of the ads was like, click here for a quiz on something. She clicked on it, and that was a virus, like trying to get her to do it. So what they'll do is they'll have you call them, and then some dude will pick up and be like, oh yeah, we've been having a problem with that one. Well, hey, here, type these things into your computer, and we'll remote into your computer, and we'll take care of it for you. So what they do is they'll say like something like, there's no virus yet, but once you call them, they will actually install the virus with your help on the phone. And then sometimes they'll like try to get your shit, or most of the times they try to get your thing to be a slave so they can actually have more bots to help hack other things. And that was her thing, man. She was just like, you know, like I was just doing this whole thing, and you know, this popped up, and I was just like, I go, look, only use this thing. This internet is a very dangerous place. Do not get busted over here.
They will get easily, man. Even like, you know, the IRS fucking fake scammer callers. Oh yeah, this is the IRS. You owe us fucking $90,000. Please call us at your earliest convenience to resolve this. I'm like, dude, get the fuck out of here. So I would go online. IRS website does have that if you get scammed or something, you can actually make a report, put in the number so that way they could fucking try to trace it back. So Rolo, he gets one that's pretty funny, man. It's a guy calling from fucking the Middle East or something, and you know, of course, we know it's a fucking a telemarketer, scam artist, whatever. So we'll put him on speaker, and we'll start making voices like, "You want to suck on cock?" And he'll be like, "Fuck you, motherfuckers," and we're like, "No, fuck you. Why are you calling our phone?" And he'd be like, "Sons of bitches," and we're just cracking up, just dying laughing. And, you know, we already know which number it is because for some reason he calls from the same fucking number. But every time we block it, because I always tell him, dude, just block the number. So again, here comes another unknown recognized number. You know, pick it up, and it's the same dude. And, you know, he'd be like, hi, this. And we'll be like, shut the fuck up. Why the fuck you keep calling? And he'd be like, fuck you, motherfucker. We're like, fuck you. Stop calling. We're going to fucking bomb you. We, you know, you're calling the United States government, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, these people are just fucking out of control with this stuff. So people, if you're out there listening, please be careful. Don't get scammed. Don't get fucking hacked into your shit. Make sure all your fucking, you know what you're doing basically on there. Don't be like Mike's mom and just fucking surfing the web without knowing what to do.
So actually, like, I legit got a thing in the mail, right? That was like, hey, we couldn't process your refund because it's kind of odd or something like that. We need you to like identify yourself. So I was like, what the fuck? So I'm like, holy shit! Like, and there's a website, there's a QR code. I'm like, oh my! So I had to look it up, right? Okay, it's a true thing. So they're using ID.me, right? Which is, they've used it for veterans. I know about it from veteran stuff to like that. Well, they use this one. They take a picture of your face. They do all these things of your face and those like biometrics to verify who you are. So I did that, right? So I take my whole face, my driver's license, the whole thing. And then it goes, we're having trouble validating who you are. Please call this number. So I call this number, right? It goes, sorry, we are busy and we don't know when we're going to be free. Please call back at another time that we're working, and just hangs up on me. I was like, you fucking sons of bitches. It's a fucking IRS. You hired 600 new people, and still, you're not even going to say, like, hey, we're too busy. Try to call back at this time frame. Or, hey, leave your phone number. Or not even none of that shit. Or, hey, your wait time's 3 hours. Let me fucking decide. No, just bye. Just, we can't process this shit. Click, bye. And it's like, you sons of fucking. Don't even tell me the hours of times. You don't even know if you're calling during the work hours. I was like, fucking up. This is my whole thing. When people start having conspiracy theories, this is why I'm like, this is the government. This IRS, like that type of shit. That's the government I know. Fucking idiots, like fucking dumb fucks. And then when they're like, hey, they planned this coup and this, I'm like, I don't know, man. There's a lot of dumbasses right now. Like, it's hard to believe.